Coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios in Hollywood, California, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Recording Connection, Studio 202, Slate Media Technologies and Slate Digital, and Audio Technica.
Prepare to add radiant being to your lexicon. This lady's a champ. Trust me when I tell you. We got a brand new ITL. We've got Gear Expo information for you. A little bit of footage that we promised you last week. AES is in full swing. Let's get it on. You're at the place, Pensado's Place.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming and hanging out with us today. It's a fun-filled, fact-filled. You want to finish that?
Well,
I ran out of
you're about to
adjectives.
trip.
I have a two-adjective minimum in my vocabulary.
But you did pretty good, given the week we had. Busy week. Seems like one of several that we've had.
That was a normal week, is what you mean.
I had a phone call this morning, and I hadn't thought about it, but during the AES convention, with all things involved, we have 9 appearances in 48 hours. Are you ready?
You're not supposed to tell me that stuff.
Sorry, I know I freak you out.
I don't want to know what I do tomorrow.
We have nothing to do. Tomorrow at 11.
Okay,
that's
good.
it. And we'll go one by one.
I work better when I feel like I'm unemployed.
Well, then you should be doing really good. Absolutely. Shall we get to the goodness?
Any answer I have, you're going to go anyway. Just do it.
I got to. Here we go. Hey, folks, what's up with you? Hope all is well in audio land. As I said, we got some fun and goodness for you this week. Our eternal thank you for liking and subscribing. You know that already. We're approaching 100,000, and that's because of your support, and you are our wings. We appreciate that. Our partners are all present and accounted for. Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Studio 202, Avid, Slate Media and Recording Connection, all best in class, all are busy, most at AES this weekend, and more on that in a second. Now, my friend, I'm going to go break convention here. Can I brag on you and Cole a little?
Of course.
Of course.
You're paid to do that. What do you mean?
I pay myself to do that. I saw this email thread, and I sort of thought about it, and I said, let me just read it to just give an example. So this is from Shane Derek Grush. He was an attendee of the just completed Blackbird session you did last week. And this is what Shane said in the email. He was actually responding to a friend of his, and somebody sent it to us. It was an incredible week. The amount of knowledge DP shares in person is 1,000 times greater than what you get from watching Pensado's Place. Better yet, you get to watch him put it into action and why he does what he does. So the importance is on the reasons why you make certain decisions. He truly is the most generous person I've ever met. Then, factor in the amount of knowledge Cole is willing to pitch in, and the Blackbird staff, Ernesto, and you have an amazing week that's hard to put into words. Not to mention that the Blackbird facilities are completely jaw-dropping. I would advise those interested to spend time at those sessions when they roll around. It has changed my life and a week that I will remember as long as I'm alive. Talk about that, sir.
You know, he's giving me a little more credit than I deserve. The attendees were so special. They were people that were earning a living, a lot of them, and a lot of them owned studios, and a lot of them, they were all pretty sharp. And they kind of pushed me and kind of guided me with what to say and what to talk about and what they needed to hear. So I can't take all the credit. Although Shane made some clear points about the staff at Blackbird, which was superior. Ernesto, I don't know why he was assisting for Cole and I, because he's twice as good an engineer as I am, and then Cole, of course, stepped up.
How about young Grasshopper?
Young Grasshopper, I'm telling you, wax on, wax off. He was spectacular.
Yeah.
That was of all the mixed metaphors I've had recently, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
One of the things that surprised me about the week was we had 4 of the top Nashville session players come in. These guys have played on dozens and dozens of #1 records, and they were so nice and accommodating. They were patient with the students. They're accustomed to coming in and 3 hours later leaving with
That's right.
2 or 3 completed records.
Absolutely.
And so we were asking them questions, and would you try this and that, and everything about Blackbird was designed to make the experience for not just us, but everyone that goes through those doors a special moment. And being around the musicians was really fun for me and fun for the group. But we had a blast. We worked in multiple control rooms, so I got to show them how to work on an old API board. I got to show them how to work on an SSL board, some Neve stuff, some outboard gear, some plug-ins. I did probably one of the more mediocre 30-minute mixes I've ever done, but they liked it, and we had fun together. We cut up a lot. By the time we left, everybody was in the spirit and mode of...
Is that when I called you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I called you at one point in time and said, I just called you so you can give your jaws a break.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Just to stop talking.
Well, that ain't going to happen.
No
good
question.
Try. No, you know what, Herb, to sum it up, tie a little bow around it, it was probably more fun for me than the attendees.
You were very inspired. I was checking with you, and so was Cole.
They demand a lot. They got a lot out of me, but that's what you want.
Let me ask you a question, because I think one of the conundrums that exist is that is a fairly expensive thing to do. It's not as expensive as some of the other places where you can go around the country or around the world, but the value that you get from that is what the people who are at the sessions imparted to me.
Yeah.
That if you have time to pull your pennies together, that week that you can spend can be significant for your career.
You and I are a lot alike. When we go out and meet all the guys that watch the show, we impose upon ourselves a bit of responsibility to make sure that if they've driven a long way, they leave feeling it was worth it.
Pensado ethos, buddy.
And the pressure that you mentioned from the economics of some people that didn't have the money to spend,
right.
I took that pretty serious, you know.
Yeah,
'Cause I used to be them.
Could be there
and
again.
I'm not that far. Yeah, I do need to get management. You're right.
Yeah. Oh well. You probably do. I need management now because we're at entity.
But I took that pretty serious. Probably maybe a little more serious than I should. But my heart went out to anybody that really wants to do this for a living. This being audio that we love, and I don't know why I'm blessed to be able to do that. But
and probably a little bit why we fawn over Blackbird so much, because the quality level matches what we talk about all the time. They never let down on that, and it becomes really worth your time to go.
You know that cliche about being the smartest person in the room or in the wrong room. There's a bit of that in Blackbird. When you're there, you feel like it's challenging you because the quality is so high and the level of commitment to audio is so high. It just makes me do things.
And it's deceptive, too, because you pull up to the cottage and go, this is Blackbird, and then you walk through the gates and you go, oh, it's the Kremlin. And like it's this whole thing. Let's get through some of that stuff. So good job to
Thanks,
you.
Man.
Tip of the hat to Cole Nystrom. Cole Nystrom has got more game than LeBron James and Derek Jeter. He is an absolute rising badass. I will not share with you the stories on the plane ride down with the unlucky lady who sat beside him. And then we saw during the whole week in Nashville, amongst others, when I tell you he's got game, he's got game. Another big tip of the hat to Karma Bandstrut Blackbird for putting together these sessions. If you're in the LA area, get your buns to AES, go to booth 1008, meet Karma, one of the coolest, most knowledgeable people in the game. Find out why Shane and Dave and Cole and I and a ton of others love Blackbird and the standard they set. Tell her that Dave and Herb sent her, or you can go Herb and Dave, it'll be fine. Speaking of AES, it's here. You should be there. AES.org will show you the menu of all the cool panels and opportunities to improve your game. Our schedule is the following if you want to come hang with us. October 10th, Pensado's Place is a feature of the Platinum Panel. It's from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to have them turn the tables on us, put us through our paces, interview us. We're going to do a batter's box. There'll be some special announcements. The whole Pensado team will be there. I would recommend you come just to see how ridiculously beautiful Cindy Escalante is, who is our makeup person. Just come to meet and greet Cindy. You know some of these other hardheads. But we'll have a good time there. If Saturday is better for you, you got a couple of choices. Come get a copy of the Pensado Papers. We will sign it for you at 11 a.m. at the Hal Leonard booth. That's booth 1141. Come see us and let us hook you up. Also at 1 p.m., we'll do a Reddit Ask Me Anything Q&A with our Audio Technica family at booth 1301. That's at 1 o'clock. Additionally, Audio Technica is launching some spectacular microphones. We're going to tell you about that in a little bit and show you that in ITL. Come on down. You can ask anything. You can ask Dave about his hair. You can ask me about the polo shirts. Take a flick or two. Just hang out. We look forward to seeing you because we are nothing without you there. So it's going to be a busy but very good weekend. It's almost time for ITL, but we promised to show you a little bit of flavor from Gear Expo. Check this out.
You're at the place.
Pensado Papers!
Hi, I'm Mayor Carl Dean, and welcome to Nashville. I want to say thank you to Gear Expo 2014 for hosting your event in Music City. I'd like to thank Dave Pensado and Herb Trawick, hosts of Pensado's Place, for hosting Gear Expo in Nashville.
So, DP, you were in Mike Nirvana for this ITL. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah, like you mentioned, we took the 5045 and really put it through its paces, Cole and I. Check this out. I think you're going to love it. Hey guys, when I first started engineering, I didn't know too much. I knew a little bit, but not too much. And I would look through mic manufacturers' catalogs, and I'm like, why do they have so many microphones? All I need is one. I knew enough to know that there were some really inexpensive microphones, and that there were some more expensive microphones, and probably the more expensive ones sounded better. But recently, through my relationship with Audio-Technica, a company that I'm really, really fond of, and I want to share some stuff with you today, I realized that that they've got a really good complement of microphones. There's a little bit of overlap, so it's not one microphone, one job. There's like the new mic they're coming out with, the 5045. It does everything really well. I'm gonna share with you some things that I've done with it that I think it does extremely well. And I now understand why we have so many different microphones to choose from. And when you're making selections on a microphone, a lot of pros are selecting the Audio-Technica line because they just deliver the goods, and they're good value. But the workmanship and the quality on these microphones is spectacular. I just love these clip holders. I sit here for hours and just locked, unlocked, locked, unlocked. I mean, it's just beautiful engineering. Today, what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you some things that Cole and I feel the microphone does really well. Now, this microphone can be used on overheads, which we're going to show you in a minute. Room mics, we're going to show you that in a minute. It's extremely good on acoustic guitar. It's got I don't know if you can see it. Go to the website, but there's a rectangular capsule which gives you, for the same size, I think I mentioned this to you before. It gives you the same surface area as a much bigger circular capsule would have. And this microphone, just shines on acoustic guitars, horns, strings, spectacular on strings, piano, background vocals. I haven't tried it on lead vocals, but when you try it on lead vocals, let me know what you think. I got a feeling it'd be spectacular on that too. But today, we're going to show you some examples that Cole and I recently used the mic on. We're going to show you some mic techniques, an XY pair, space pair, how to record overheads from a little bit of a distance, a room mic and a mono mic. So you can really spend some time up close with this mic at AES, so drop by their booth and check that out. Tell them that the good people at Pensado's Place sent you. Okay, I'm going to turn the microphone and the camera over to Cole Nystrom. Cole's going to show you some stuff that he's recently been working on with me, so check it out. And let us know what you think.
Hey guys, so Dave and I were recording some drums. We want to kind of share with you some of the techniques and placements and all the special and cool features of the new 5045s. So we ended up doing things from XY, spaced pair, a distant kind of overhead miking, room mics, and a couple mono mics on over drums. And we got some really cool things. So why don't we dive on in, I'll share it with you guys. So these are the XY overheads, and XY is a cool thing. It was sitting, we're probably about 6 feet up, and of course in standard XY kind of setup. But the thing that's nice about this is that a lot of times when we take overheads and put them into a mix, sometimes we just like them panned in a little bit. And with the XY, it just sits it just right without having to pan it. You can just set it up and it just fits really well in the mix. So why don't we check out how these guys sound. Things just have such a nice top end and sizzle and clarity on them. Huge fan of them. Alright guys, now that we got a chance to listen to the XY on it, this is kind of how we had it set up. We have, for these guys, since they're a side address, we have an interesting way of, having to get them together and doing an XY of it, but these guys work out great. If you want a tighter sound like we were talking about, these turn out incredible just how it is here. If you want a little bit wider and some space, just turn them out a little bit, get the diaphragm so they're facing out, and it'll just open up your room. So we also did a overhead spaced pair, so let's check these guys out. These were a lot more closer to the cymbals. They were almost like an accent mic. So you get a lot of extra energy out of the crashes and stuff like that, and the rest of the cymbals too. When you're playing, it just makes them pop really nice. So let's check those guys out. I'm loving how those are coming out. All right, guys. So now that we listened to the spaced pair, I just want to kind of show you how we set it up really briefly. We have the mics really low, kind of almost as an accent mic. We pretty much splitting the hi-hat and the crash, and also same over here between the crash and the ride. We're just kind of splitting them. And like I said, when we're using a technique like this, we're pretty much wanting to get as much out of the cymbals. So we're not thinking about the rest of the drums and all that. We're just pretty much thinking of them as accent mics for the cymbals. So it just really brings a lot out of them. So let's check out these distant mics. They're a few feet away from the kit and a few feet up. And these have a really cool tone to them. It's kind of like a Led Zeppelin-y kind of a feel, really live, ambient kind of sounding drums. So let's check these guys out. I'd be happy just using those things, man. It comes out killing. All right, guys, so that was the distant space pair that we just listened to. As you see, I've got the mics about 5.5 feet up, about 5 feet away from the snare drum. Like we were saying, these are really cool. You get actually quite a bit of ambience in here, and it really picks up, kind of gives you a Zeppelin-y, really rock kind of a feel. So these have a really, really cool use. So check those guys out. And with these next guys, it's just a simple pair of spaced room mics, probably about 10, 15 feet away from the kit. And let's check those guys out. Really rich. I mean, it's just got such a nice tone to it. It's just it feels huge. I mean, the room that we did it in was a really great room over at the Echo Bar. And, it's just, with these mics, it's just incredible, man. We've been really digging them. All right, guys, so that was the room mics that we just heard. As you see, they're about 15 feet away from the kit, about 10, 15 feet away from each other as well. And when you sit and you lower the mic and it's closer to the floor, you're actually going to get some more low end. So that's why towards the previous one that we just showed you of like the distance spaced pair miking, this guy's a little bit lower, so you have a little bit more of a full sound to it and just sounds a little bit bigger. And here, we also did a couple mono miking techniques. This one is kind of another kind of Zeppelin miking technique. That's just a few feet in front of the kick, slightly off to, towards the ride side of it. And it picks everything up really well. Let's check that guy out. All right, so this is where we have our mono mic. Like I said, it's a few feet away from the kit, about 4 feet in front of it. Kind of same thing like we were talking about with the rooms. If you want more low end and a thicker sound, you can drop it down a little bit, kind of what we did with the rooms, and also it's definitely lower than our distance-based pair. But this one is really cool if you have minimal inputs or minimal pre's or anything like that. This one is a great technique for capturing the whole kit. And with this last guy, we did something similar, but we actually had it right over the drummer's right shoulder, kind of aimed right at the kit. And this one is actually kind of one of my favorites for a mono miking technique, because you get a really well balanced, between all the toms and cymbals and everything. So let's check this guy out. All right, guys, so as I said, that's one of my favorite miking techniques for a single microphone when you're trying to cover the entire kit. As I said before, either minimal pre's, inputs, whatever it be, you can still get a great sound off of them with these 5045s. As you see, that's just right over the drummer's right shoulder, trying to capture all the drums, kicks, snares, cymbals. We're just getting a few feet up off the ground, so it's kind of captures and oversees everything and just gets a really well balance of it all. All right, guys, now that you got a chance to, hear the sweet sizzle on this, the clarity, the depth in these mics, I mean, some of these you can just, use and drop into a mix, and they work out perfect, man. We're a huge fan of these. When you guys get a chance, why don't you check out audio-technica.com. Read a little bit more about the mics. Also, if you guys get a chance to make it out to AES, stop by, say hello to Dave and the rest of the guys. Check out Audio Technica, of course, and see what they got going on. Really excited about these, and why don't you guys check them out, see how you like them, let us know. Next time, guys.
We have some really good buddies at Isotope, and they are preparing their fall campaign for Ozone 6, a serious beast. Stay tuned for that one. We're going to be heavily involved in that. But even their RX4, they put some new things involved with that, right? You've messed with it?
Oh, yeah. RX4 is a monster. It's one better than RX3.
I can't imagine what they're playing for RX5.
Well, I have that too.
Oh, okay.
But back to 4, these tools just work. I mean, they do so many things. They repair all forms of audio inconsistencies and mistakes. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, if you know me and you saw what I did with RX3, I like to abuse them and use them for other things too, sometimes I just take ambience off stuff just to do it. I like doing that with RX3. Mm-hmm. And 4 is even better. And 4 Advanced, when you go to the website and check out RX4, be sure to check out Advanced. It's got some very usable musical things. But RX4, just regular, is still a bad boy.
They had some new things involved extender, and there were some other categories that they had adjusted with the plugins.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you know, these guys don't stand still.
Isotope is a serious.
I'm about to get fully up to speed, and I'll bring you a report in the future about all the intricacies and details of it. But it's a beast.
Cool.
And by the way, if you have need of it, it's a value for the money because it does things other things can't do, and it'll save you a lot of money in the long run by fixing something where you can't hear that it was repaired, as opposed to cutting it over, embarrassingly calling the client and asking them to redo it. Don't want to do that. Get RX4.
Our good friends at Isotope, who we like so much and have been so supportive, they're planning their fall campaign for Ozone 6, which is a beast. We'll get that information to you soon. But one of the things that you use a lot and that they've talked to us about is the RX4. There's some new things involved and so forth. Give me the Dave Pensado perspective on it.
Well, I use RX3 heavily, and RX4 just came out. It does so many things so well. If you have a track or something that maybe has got some flaws to it on multiple levels, noises, clicks, pops, ambience, you don't want to call the client and say, hey, can you come by and do that again?
Right.
Christina, can you just fly in from Europe? These tools were designed for enhancing and let's don't say repair because that applies to somebody who made a mistake, but if there's something you need to kind of massage into being a little better, the method that these things work is just so transparent, Herb. It doesn't really alter the original to get rid of the
They added 3 or 4 new things in this RX4, right? What are they?
Yeah, there's ambience match, which I think is a very cool, much needed thing, particularly if you're working with vocals in my world that are cut at 5 different places. Reconnect, EQ capabilities now, and then there's a leveler, almost kind of like a level matching tool that's going to be very useful.
Price conscious? Is it available?
Well, it depends on your perspective. If you're going to have to spend 20 grand to fly an artist back in and repair something, it's a bargain.
Yeah.
If you don't have need for that, there's 2 versions. There's RX4 and then there's RX4 Advanced. Both are affordable depending on your level of needs, and I think it's a bargain. I like to abuse them, by the way.
and they hold up.
Oh man, you can do some cool as heck things. Like if you've got a loop and you want to just take the hi-hat out of the loop, you just do it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. What a pleasure. This is an opportunity for my whole career with Dave. I've heard about Sylvia Massy for years. We've ascertained we may have met but just didn't know, and that was before she became Sylvia Massy. Welcome to the desk. This has been a long time coming.
Thanks for having me.
It is such a pleasure. Okay, now quickly, the impetus behind Radiant Being, which I love. I'm a branding guy, so I love that.
Okay, well, it's been a while, but Dave and I worked together. I was his assistant at Larrabee, and I would sit in the back of the room. He was mixing some really important thing, obviously, but I would be in the back of the room reading a book. I think I was reading Shakti Gawan, the creative visualization, and Dave said, well, you're a radiant being. So that just kind of stuck, and I have business cards now that I use, and I've always used it for 22 years.
I love that.
Radiant being.
I love
Let me
that.
correct something she said.
Did you try to get publishing from her on that?
No.
Okay, cool.
She said that she was my assistant. I was Sylvia's assistant.
Yeah.
Sylvia.
Oh, I can see that.
At that point in my career, she was twice as good as me. Like the next week, when she left me, she did Green Jelly, Jello, whichever you prefer, and Tool, and all these great records, and that shows her skill level.
The
She made me
real deal.
look really good.
A Pensado Awards nominee.
But
as
I'm
well.
a little conflicted to know that she was like sitting around reading when she's supposed to be working for me, though. I'm glad I got that admission on tape.
Did you write off the money you paid in your taxes?
No, you know what?
She multitasked.
Sylvia, I want to involve you in this because I'm gonna go a little bit different. But now you're so huge and your new place in Oregon. The people that assist us, like when you were assisting for me, is so important, Herb. I mean, I don't think any of us, from Manny to Jason to Sheps to anybody, CLA, it's a shame that they're called assistants because they're more partners, they're more equals. We get the glory and we get the spotlight, but they do so much of the heavy lifting and so much work. And one of the proud moments of our award show is when we gave the Air Award, and she's the reason I thought about that, because she was just, I couldn't have accomplished half what I accomplished during my time working with her.
And what was your experience?
Oh,
the
wow.
other way?
He's just so giving. And I appreciate any person who's in between the speakers and to share with the assistant in the room, to show them techniques and how you lay out the console and what you're listening for.
I think I was bragging. I don't think it was actually, I think I was trying to impress you. I don't think it was actually coming from a good spot.
Nothing new there. We've turned that into a show. But
career.
Well, we did have a lot of fun, and I know there was a lot of talking going on, not so much working. I don't know how you mixed the Key Sweat or any of those projects that we worked on together.
I think you did it, and I came back sometime and it was done.
Well, my theory, since we've been around so long, is that Pensado's Place really started there. Like, it was always a salon, it was always a conversation. You went there, you were going to do some musical work, but you were going to talk and do philosophy and theorize.
Yeah.
And what I love about your journey, I've often said, I don't brag on Dave so much, and I'm always on the team about us not believing our own smoke, like just keep calm and keep doing what we're doing. But Dave has a knack for assistants that turn to superstars. I've just never seen, as somebody who watches talent and observes talent, the string, and it's continuing to this day, in my opinion, with our current folks. There's just so many of you guys. But what I love about your journey is Dave has kind of a specific thing that he began to be known for as a mixer. And as you went and stepped out in your journey, did you go towards your taste and with Tool and those kind of records?
Right.
Is that where you went? Is that what you were laying for to go do?
Well, I was really interested in performance, and so recording and putting together an environment that's conducive to the musician to really give us the best performance that they have.
Yeah.
And mixing's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
I love mixing too. But it's producing and working directly one-on-one with the musician
so
is
much
really
patience.
great.
Mixing I can be out in a day.
And in the rock space, you get
So much
performances. Like, you get guitar guys and drummer guys.
Oh,
and
there's
who are just
lots of
vocalists
personalities.
In your background, part of the psychological aspect of managing those personalities and getting more out of them and all that kind of stuff, obviously a part of any producer's job, right? Any extra thing that comes with doing it as a woman in the space, and having to command that respect, because that's a specific skill, ability.
Well, I've thought about that, and I think maybe because I'm a woman, I'm not as intimidating.
Yeah.
However, if I need to be, I can be.
I can see
and
that.
I'll kick
She
some
wouldn't be able to
ass.
shave her.
Oh, I can see that. I've known her for 7 minutes, and I went. In the first 2, I went, okay, I'm not messing with her much.
I'm going to answer a little bit of Sylvia's question. Sylvia does it by just being really good. You never, ever feel like when you're working with her that you're not working with the best. And she never has a moment where she doesn't have a plan. Sylvia's gift for knowing what it should sound like is so clear-cut in her mind when she's working with a group that she projects that. If your surgeon comes in and is like, anybody see my scalpel?
Yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
But
Well, it may be that I don't really have a plan, but I'm going to make like I have a
Like you
plan.
have one,
Like,
right.
and I'll think of ideas as quickly as possible, and we'll move forward.
You made a lead singer run around the block 5 times.
Right? Yeah.
That's thinking on your feet, and
Well-
the fact that he did it, because if I was in the band after the session, I would have just ridden him. I would have respected you, but I was like, dude, did you like really go run around the block 5 times?
But when
And
she said
but he
it, you
came
just
back and
believed
he hit that screen.
Yeah,
didn't
that's right. And I think that, well, in particular with vocals, because the instrument is here.
Absolutely.
And the instrument is here.
Gotta open it
that,
up.
Yeah, you need to distract the singer so that they're not just thinking about the technical side of singing. So however you can do that, sometimes I'll ask the singer, use your hands like you're Italian and you're expressing yourself every word. I want you to move your hands, or I'll like Maynard from Tool, I told him to go run around the block 5 times, and that would get his mind off of the stress of, thinking about his voice, or that he can't sing,
Right.
or he can't hit that note. Another thing is, well, I've done I've done some pretty crazy things.
Somebody hung upside down.
Yeah, hanging. Serge from System of a Down, I had him hang. That didn't really work.
But the fact that you did it, I just love it.
Yeah,
but
we
you know
did
what?
get the take, but it wasn't upside down.
Gotcha.
I think this is part of a bigger picture, what you're talking about, because being so familiar with you and your work, you create atmospheres based on where you're working, usually in your own studios, for happy accidents to kind of take place, like the planned things and the things that are following a precise method of being accomplished. Those are necessary, but sometimes I think Quincy said always leave room in the studio for God to walk in.
Yep.
And I think you do that really well, and you do it through a series of. You got some of the quirkiest, weirdest little gear, and explain that concept of how you take the atmosphere and allow something kind of unexpected to happen, because that's not a normal production technique, because you've got deadlines and
Right.
yeah.
Well, when you're working with an artist that has a certain way of thinking about their music, and then you introduce a theremin or a steel guitar or
Or a cheap little amp.
a cheap little amp.
The microphone was bigger than the amp.
Right? Then you get them to think outside the box. And you just say, well, come on, just try it. Hopefully you have time to fool around and make mistakes and then throw them away. But some amazing things happen, even if they don't, even if they're not keepable. Like even if you don't use them in the final mix, the fact that you've gone through that and done that it'll open up everyone's thoughts to new ideas.
Oh, I love that. That's special.
One of the things I learned from you early on that I still use to this day is pretty much everything has a use sometime, somewhere in the next 100 years when you're making a record. Every piece of gear has a use somewhere, and don't focus on the expensive stuff. Everything has a use.
Right.
Does something come to mind where you use something unorthodox on a record that had you not had that little piece of junk in the room, it would have not happened?
Yeah, broken cymbals are some of my favorite things to play with.
How do you
because
use them?
normally you would just discard that, but broken cymbal has a completely different sound. So I save that, and in fact, my keeping things and not getting rid of things becomes a problem, and my manager can tell you all about that. I have 3 storage spaces full of stuff right now that I don't have any place to put.
Yeah.
So.
That's fabulous.
I like Broken Cymbal. That'd be a good name for a studio or a band. Broken Cymbal.
But it's almost a Foley approach, like just having all these different things you can go create stuff with.
I think it's a classic hoarding issue.
Well, I was going to say that. I had to find out how many structures there were. So she went 3 storage bins. I was like, yeah, it could be a little bit more.
Yeah, on a record that I did recently, we needed. It was a song about a kitchen, being in a kitchen, and I thought, well, instead of cymbals, why don't we use just silverware? So I got a big bunch of silverware and mic'd it up, threw it on the floor. Most fantastic.
Don't.
I know cold sweating in the control room.
Because the reason is there is a bad ethnic joke.
No,
that is really
don't even
funny.
go there.
No, we're not going to tell it. And I can edit always. But anyways, but I love that idea. We had somebody on from the television space, and they were going around to a junkyard and just grabbing different things and making sounds on pipes and capturing that and just creating the most.
Sure.
And it just seems to me it
fun.
opens up the universe to you, right?
And it's just fun. And in spaces that you record in also become instruments, right?
Yeah.
Or tools. So if you record in a garage or you record in a sub-basement or you record in a car. One of my favorite recording sessions was actually in the back of a van while we were driving through San Francisco, and the performance was unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy, and of course we videotaped the whole thing, and it was
nice,
very unusual and unconventional.
Speaking of unconventional, so how long have you sort of taken this unconventional approach? Has that always been sort of a Sylvia signature?
Yes.
I would say so. I just kind of made it up as I went along. I have a certain way of doing things that work. I like traditional studios, but I found a really creative space was a theater. And so when I moved up to Northern California, I found an old vaudevillian theater and put the studio in there without separating the control room from the performance space.
Oh, gorgeous.
And I began recording this way with using headphones for the basic tracking, and then standing next to the artist as they're performing the rest. I rarely use a vocal booth.
Wow.
I'll set up the vocal mic right in front of me. We'll both have headphones. I communicate directly with that singer. I can give them direction on how to stand, what to think of, and it's just an immediate way of communicating with the artist. It works so well.
How cool
It's
is
my
that?
own weird way of doing things,
Oh, I
but
love that.
you know.
And when you do that, are you making any effort to get some isolation, or are you just using the ambience kind of Al Schmidt style in one big glob of omni?
Well, you know,
presets?
you talked about happy accidents, and a lot of times it doesn't matter if there's external noise to me. I work right now in a church. I've got the Neve set up in a church. It's a fantastic space. It's got a wall of windows looking onto a park, and those windows are not soundproofed very well. So I get a lot of outside noise, and if it's a problem, I'll retake a piece or this and that, but usually it's not a problem.
Probably adds
So-
character. to the
Yeah,
record.
adds character, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sylvia, would you say that a young person coming along that wants to be a producer and engineer, before you even think about maybe producing a record, maybe you need to get a unique personality, or at least accent the uniqueness of your personality in order to have something unique to carry into the production world? Isn't all of this a production, an extension of who you really are? Because you've been the same since I've known you, in terms of your uniqueness. I mean, she was collecting gear. Well, actually, when she came to me, she was already an accomplished engineer, but you were always on the lookout for a little quirky piece of gear. And that's an extension of who you are and your personality. Can you explain how important that is for somebody coming along to have that, so that you want to be?
He did call me weird.
I think he did.
I think he called me
we'll go
weird.
past it. We'll share between us. Anyways, go ahead and answer.
In a loving way.
I think it's worked out for me that I can bring my character into
Yes.
the studio, and I do love quirky music. There's great genres. I mean, every genre has great music, but I do like the unusual and music to fascinate. So
I like that.
I love that.
so when I work with an artist, I'll try to bring that in. Lately, I've been getting into string arrangements, orchestrations, and I love going beyond where their limits might be. And I think we talked about it at one time, where you can add. When you're thinking about a mix and the client's not in the room, you might add all kinds of stuff. You might put in backing vocals. You might have string sections, and you come in and put congas or whatever, and add all that, and then they listen to it and they're like horrified, and we can't have any of that. You know, I worked with a group this month. And it's a rock band, and I took one of their songs and I added a Russian choir, you know, and
You were making fun of me.
no, I know. But let's see, what else did I put? Oh, I got an opera singer to come in and sing over the top of it, and then I
Love
did
it.
these big string parts across it, and it was fantastic. And they heard it, and they were like, "No way,
They just
no
couldn't
way!"
handle
But it was so yeah.
The icing on the cake, did you marry anybody during that session?
No. Oh, that's right.
She became an ordained minister, and she actually married one of her clients.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
Wait.
And
married
she started
them as
her
the-
own religion. No,
She didn't marry them as became her spouse. She married them and somebody else.
Right, I'm an ordained
clarifying.
minister. That's
Okay, I was
right.
clarifying
Yeah.
them. Got it.
yeah,
I'm straight.
It doesn't make any sense to me either, Herm.
No, it does to me, but I just need to know the sequence of events. That's all it was.
But I mean, go up to Oregon, make a record, get married.
Well,
Kind of goes together, doesn't it?
no question. You're going to do
In
it.
your mind.
Absolutely. Well, the
Well,
corollary
can you
that
provide divorces too? That'd be a good
Ooh,
function too.
Well,
we're going to stay away from that for
Yeah.
now. We just got the ordained minister. You're already at the end game. Like, hey, breathe. The thing that I think that you alluded to earlier is we encourage people, and I know Dave does. I do specifically too. Find your signature. Find something. If yours reflects your taste and your quirkiness and things you like, whatever it is, because to just spend all this time to become like everybody else doesn't make any sense to me. Does that ring true to you?
You know, and that's so smart to say, because people need to, when you're producing, you can't be afraid to take risks. And go ahead and suggest these things. Maybe the artist won't go with it, but that shouldn't prevent you from trying.
Right. And I think also you have to constantly push your own envelope in your head, don't you? Like you have to, if they don't get it, it's fine, but you're going to just keep thinking of things and push because I find all of us in one way or the other, and everybody that sits to our left is a creative person. I find in what I do, obviously Dave is a creative person. I find in what I do, half of my head has to be business, half of it has to be creative to create some of the things we do here. And the fun is pushing the edge.
Right. There is a danger to it, though, because if you have fantastic ideas and you're in love with your own ideas, well, it's not really your music. You can't be precious about it.
That's right.
If it's rejected, you have to just move on.
Yeah.
And
Was producer always the goal for you?
There was not particularly any goal. It just was the thing
records.
that I thought I'd like to do.
Just evolved into it?
Yeah, it just evolved into it.
Oh, fabulous.
Of course, I'm so familiar with your work, but I was listening to several things back to back to kind of get a feel for a question, and I was looking for a common thread of sound. So I was looking for things that were sound-wise similar in all the records you do, and I realized after about the fifth record that there are none, but that what is a consistent thread through your records is your attitude. All your records have attitude, but you're not like some engineers where you can tell their record from artist to artist because it sounds the same. The similarity for you is that they have the same attitude and grab you by the throat and kind of slap you around. And I love that about your records. The Johnny Cash record has that element to it. And that record I cried when I heard some of those songs.
Oh, it's such an honest record, and working with him was...
and, give props to Rick,
Yeah, Rick Rubin, an amazing producer. I have a lot of admiration for what Rick does, but working with Johnny was a very special time in my career.
But the attitude, it's you captured his attitude because you know how to recognize it. Is that an overstatement?
Well,
It's unfair to ask you that question, but
He's bringing stuff to the table.
He's a brilliant storyteller.
But a lot of times it hasn't gotten on record, but you got it really well on record. Of course, with Rick's help too. But
well, just
so
the notion
moved by
that team would be put together to deal with Johnny Cash, that's hallowed ground.
Well, that's what Rick does, is he puts these people together, puts them in a room, and says, okay, go. And he kind of steps out of the way, and things happen.
Brilliant.
You recorded that at multiple places, didn't you? It seems like I remember some in Nashville, some at Rick's Place.
Some at Rick's Place, and some at Sound City, and some at Ocean Way.
Huh.
Right.
Wow.
When you set up a mic and a vocal chain for Johnny Cash, what's going through your mind?
Oh, wow. I was very careful about what I brought, and when I went to work on vocals in Nashville with him, I packed a suitcase full of, it was Stay Level, 1176, Telefunken U47, and I tried some other mics on with him too. But generally that was the magic combination.
The part of the chain that made it sound like he was like 6 inches from me when he was singing, was that a function? What mic pre did you use?
I don't even know what it was in Nashville. But
it wasn't an Eve, I hope, was it?
I didn't bring an Eve with me, and I don't remember what it was, but I generally do use an Eve 1073. And I hate to say that because I know you don't want to ever hear that. But
Can't somebody be inventive when they record?
But
I use 47 and a 1073 mic print.
I think that 1073s are great.
They are.
I think that
That's why everybody uses them.
the gates stay level
Did you
with
get
the
that from me?
combination. Pardon?
Did you get that from me? The gate stay level?
No.
I got it from you?
I think.
Oh, good.
But the stay level with a combination of Uri 1176.
Okay.
I think that's, for me, it brings out every little detail in a voice, and it also allows someone to get really booming, like Johnny's voice, to get loud.
Did you put the 1073 before the limiter? The gates?
1073 into the gates, into the 1176.
Okay.
Yeah, in that order.
I guess the little 1176 was wondering, why am I the only piece of gear in the chain that doesn't have tubes in it?
It was just to kind of clamp down the very top, and that's it.
It's so cool. I'm telling you what, that record just moved me on so many levels the way a great record should. You know, it was the craft and art of what we do at its highest level, from the first note that was tracked to the production, and that was the final documentary chapter in Johnny's life. You know,
one amazing. We at Gear Expo had the designer who made some of his clothes, who did the Men in Black, the Johnny Cash, the black gear that he did. His name is Manuel, and we went to the shop the day before we had him, and he was telling us some of the history, and he was talking about Johnny Cash specifically and the kind of guy he was and what kind of direction he was told to do about his clothes and why it had to be a certain way and how he tried to match his attitude. So it's interesting to hear how that permeated everything, the music and the clothes and the performance and who he was and who we got to know. Pretty amazing journey.
I agree. You know, it is a kind of a circular thing. Hey, Sylvia, when you're trying, like a lot of times when I hear you EQ something, it's never just so it'll sound better. Which it does, of course, but it feels like you're manipulating, massaging the energy in the song. So I'll hear, how do you do that? And what EQs do you like to use to do that, assuming that's what you do, I'm guessing?
Well, I hate to say it.
You don't?
No, it's a 1073.
Oh.
And you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
It is what
Yeah.
it is.
And there's only a few selections for frequencies, and I just like, well, that one sounds good. It's nothing too magic about it. It's really the performance. It's not about adjusting an EQ.
So you accomplish that before it gets to the mix stage?
Absolutely, yeah.
And is when the accomplishment of that, is that through just massaging and manipulating psychologically in a positive way the performer, or you're using another 1073 in the mic pre?
Well, it
can be all those things?
It can be all those things, and I think using the 1073 just kind of ensures that the sound will be what I want coming in. But the challenge is to get the performance, and in doing that, the mic placement needs to be looked at too. But really, performance is everything.
It's not an interview with a good non sequitur. So, art and music. You paint, and your paintings on. Oh, guys, check out her website. She has sylviamassy.com. I had no idea you were such an accomplished artist, a painter.
Well, I
Your
stopped
stuff-
for years, and I just started up again 2 years ago, and I really enjoy painting and
that's
art.
cool.
And I also illustrate and do cartooning, and I have a lot of fun with that. So I'm trying to combine everything now.
Vanna, good job.
By doing a cast of cartoon characters that have a band, and
Let me properly introduce. Engineered, producer, singer, artist, illustrator. You're putting out children's stuff. You're operating on all the faculties and capacities you have, right? That's like really living.
But it's classic Sylvia style. Look at the name of the company on the back.
Yeah.
What's it called, Sylvia?
Tell us about it.
it's Lucky Doug and the Stink Bugs, and
What's the name of the company, Sylvia?
the Naked Reality Music.
How can you have a children's CD from Naked Reality?
Well, let her
Well,
explain.
it also has, songs like Cute Little Turd and, Couch Potato, My Brother's a Baby. Well, it's, we're not sure if it's really a children's record.
Right.
It kind of goes a little beyond that. But I work with a fellow named Doug Fergus, and this is his music. But I helped produce it, and I sang on everything, and he let me have free reign, and you know how much I love that.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So it's full of crazy sounds, and then now I'm in the middle of developing a cartoon, which may be an adult cartoon more than a child's
Please keep
children's
us
cartoon.
informed on that.
But it is up for, we've submitted it for the Best Children's Album Grammy, so we're crossing our fingers.
Oh, good.
Okay, I'll vote for it.
Good.
If you did, I'm sure it's great. Going back to my original question about art and music, there really isn't much distinction in how you and I, think about mixing a record and constructing a painting where mixing has the blank canvas and you kind of orchestrate the things around the canvas so that the viewer's eye. Do you find yourself having one interest amplify the other, like your visual sensibilities and your audio sensibilities? I'm dying here, Sylvia. Rescue me and start answering something here along the way.
I think that the viewer or the listener uses the same faculties to appreciate a painting as well as to appreciate music. The same appreciation is happening also in making it. It's a form of communication. There's communication without words in music. There's communication without words in art.
Yeah.
You're just expressing yourself through different means, but it's coming from the same place.
Okay.
Well,
so
it
wasn't a bad question then, right?
No, it was poorly asked, but it wasn't a bad question. But what I was going to say
it's
is,
my charm.
I know it is, and prepare your arm for batter's box.
You got it.
What we hear a lot from our guests are certain guests hear music and see it in colors in their head, which is that same cortex kind of, it's all operating in one way, informing you, and you're somebody who sort of thinks about it, and you actually apply mathematics in ways that you think about it, and the process is different for different people, but all from the same place.
Yeah.
Part of when this started, I just found everybody so fascinating in terms of these kind of tools. I was like, God, people should know this. The way these are like brilliant people who think about this differently, and then kind of process it in such a way that you can understand it. Like they take it through their things, and then you kind of get it. You go, wow, this is good. I don't know why it's good, but it's good. That's a special gift. Do you agree? Is that process sound right?
And there's certain things that when I'm working as a producer on music, I describe sounds in the same way I would describe a brush stroke, or the coarseness of something, or the texture. It's visual, it's tactile, and it's also auditory.
All right, Mr. Pensado, you have your batter's box teed up. Let's roll that intro, and when you hear the applause, man, it's time for you to fire. It's the World Series, bud. Fire away.
Bass.
Ooh. Subharmonic synthesizers.
Ooh.
She got that from me. I know she did.
Sweet.
I think I did.
Balls going over the
Guitar pedal.
Oh, hot cake.
Ooh, gotta make a note to come back to that one. Herb. Snares.
Black Beauty.
Oh man, Cole just got wood. Vocals.
Distraction.
Nice. The game may be over now.
I know. I'm gonna keep going because
We're in the third inning and it's already over.
That. Piano.
Oh, Bosendorfer.
Nice.
Ooh, extra 4 keys. Flatulence. Stereo bus.
He threw me off.
That's the
Me
concept
too. And
here.
I was going,
called
is
a
she going to
curveball.
answer that? How is she going to process that?
She's the one saying the other word, the F word,
Hey,
fart
she's an
word.
ordained
I
minister.
classed
She
it
does
up a
what she
little
wants
bit. Stereo bus.
Oh boy, Fairchild 670.
So ordinary. If your studio caught fire, what would be the first gear you'd try to rescue and walk out with?
Oh,
Ooh,
well,
this-
I'd have to carry out the Neve.
80-38. That'd be pretty tough in
And
a fire.
knowing you would get it out.
I would get it out.
I know you would.
And she's got 3 buildings of storage to go do other stuff with. So
I was hoping you'd say Chris, but well, Chris and I'll talk about this later. Okay, reverb.
Oh, not a lot.
Oh. Oh, I said oh, and look here, overheads.
Oh, Mojave M200s.
Oh, good. I like those guys. Guitars. They make this
Noisy.
nice.
All right.
Nice.
I quit. Let's retire this segment. I've never won one.
Well,
and
you've
she
won a
just
couple,
embarrassed
but
me.
you did not win today. And none
How
of
do you
that
win?
I can't.
depends on how I judge it. But the problem is she made the All-Star team. Like she didn't just do good. Like she's first round on the All-Star team. So well done.
Hold up. What was that guitar pedal again?
Hot Cake.
I don't know that one.
The fellow from Split Ends in New Zealand makes pedals.
Is it a distortion pedal?
It is a overdrive, slight distortion pedal. Just makes it just nice and
My
you know.
girl.
Chongor, if you dare, let's introduce you because these
Oh, you did
questions
better than I did, Chongor.
These questions may come back and slap you right in the head. So there's our man Chongor Gans in the corner office. He's our raging Hungarian. What you got, Chongor?
Raging Hungary. This first one's from Sundog. How do you keep your distorted guitars sounding so articulate, but keep them crunchy and hot at the same time?
That is a darn good question. And there's a way to do it, is that you turn down the gain. Even if it's just enough to hear the chord, turn down the gain. And if your player won't turn down the gain, and you want that extra energy, then do an overdub where the gain is way back and then tuck that under.
Do you have a different approach for the E, A, and D strings in terms of clarity? In other words, that seems to come mostly. The mud seems to come mostly from those 3 strings.
Right. And sometimes I'll actually tape those and mute them so that we're only getting the strings that we need to hear.
I like that. In Nashville, they did the Nashville tuning thing too.
Chongor, give us another one.
From Shredsta, Ramasar, and Emily Encino. With being a female engineer, we've had to fight tooth and nail to prove ourselves to our male colleagues. Does it get easier, and what keeps you focused in this business with it being predominantly male?
Wow.
That's a problem.
That is a tough one. You know, just keep at it. I'd say any woman in the industry is the only thing that's holding you back is this, because personally, I don't find it. I think it's difficult for everybody,
right?
Whether you're a man or a woman, to get a foothold.
Absolutely.
Just take every job that you can and do the best that you can with it, and eventually you'll find yourself doing better and better work.
Can I toss something in real quick to the young lady? Sylvia never allowed herself to be disrespected, and nobody ever thought to disrespect her because of the way she carried herself. She compensated for a lot of things by just being better than us. She was the best of the best. We never looked at Sylvia, and to this day you don't look at Sylvia as a female engineer. She's an engineer. And I think that
I appreciate that.
There's some cats like her and some of our other friends, Leslie Ann and some great engineers, and they all have one thing in common: they're the best of the best of the best. I'm not saying that if you're not great, you shouldn't enter the profession as a woman, but Herb taught me something a long time ago that's just stuck with me for my entire life. And Herb always says, you teach people how to treat you. And man, that's the poster child for that right across from me right now.
Well, I think it's important for anybody, including women, to not be intimidated by the idea that I'm producing. The artist needs your help.
That's right.
Don't hold back, and they'll appreciate it.
I'll go even farther and say that it's a strength, that there is an intuition, there is some other gear that a different perspective brings to the process that an artist or somebody can benefit from.
That's right.
So instead of seeing it as a potential limitation, don't let hard heads get in your way. Think about it as, wait, I'm carrying something nobody else has, but you're going to have to do the grind. Like Dave said, you're going to have to be better. Like Sylvia said, you take what you take, and you grow, and then utilize that strength to become what you are instead of trying to emulate what a man would do, be everything that
Right.
you would be. Is that fair?
Do it the way that you want to do it.
Do you.
Do you.
Do you. Chongor, give us one more.
This last was from Donald Lyles. Have you caught any more jackalopes?
Have you caught any more jackalopes? Somebody will explain that.
Well, let's see. The jackalopes are on the wall at the studio. Yeah.
Okay, they're still there. Oh, I do remember.
A lot of people don't think they're real, but they're real.
They're real.
Oh,
Yeah.
Real jackalopes.
Oh, yes.
There's some wild ones, and they're extremely dangerous. So I would not recommend anyone else go for the jackalope.
You think they're a little cute and fuzzy, but those horns are
the
real.
horns,
Oh,
yeah.
The horns are what get you.
And they bite.
Yeah. They usually come out after a drunken rage. Multiple.
This interview just took a
multiple
turn.
day binge.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, you
Peanut.
know, I thought something serious. The young lady that called me, if you haven't done so, check out the interview we did with the 4 ladies that run studios. That's probably one of the best collections of intelligent, gifted, just women that run our industry that you'll find anywhere. Wouldn't you say?
I would.
I asked my daughter to watch it. I didn't make her. I asked my daughter to watch it. She's in a male-dominated profession, and she called me and said, "Daddy, I really learned a lot. That was really, really good."
Well, here's the other part. Whether we send cameras up to Oregon to just watch your unique recording process, if you'd allow us, or we somehow convince Chris to get you back down here, there is no way one episode with Sylvia Massy is enough. Can we have you back?
Please.
Could not be more honored. I have a special affinity for people who bring grace and dignity to what we do, and you do that in bucket loads.
Better than anybody.
That is how special the people who sit to Dave and I's left are, and you can be whatever you want to be. You're sitting with a hyphenate who is an artist and did engineer and is a producer and sings on things and illustrates, and this is a great world that we live in now where you can actually effectuate all of who you are inside of what we do. I did.
Is that a word?
Is that a word?
It is a word.
I'm gonna challenge that Scrabble style.
You can, but you lost.
I have a question, though.
Yes, please.
How can I get one of those cool cups?
We have one for you today, and we might even stick a book inside of it so you can take that home too.
Oh, don't do
Fantastic.
that. That's embarrassing.
If you sign it.
We will, absolutely. We're honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Thanks, Chris, for making all this happen.
DP, take us home.
Whew, man, what do I say? You hopefully one of the things you'll take from this interview today is how much respect and love and admiration I have for what Sylvia does and what she's done for our profession. She makes us all look good. All boats rise on an incoming tide, and we got a big lift when she got into the industry. So Google her and go check out her website, check out some of the things she's done. And now that you've met her, a lot of these records that she makes will make sense for you. They're inspirational. Except for this one, I'm not so sure, but I'm going to listen to this.
Say goodbye, man.
I got a feeling this is great. I love the little cigar. Hey, guys, thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you next week.